Hey there UK EDCers, this is a full review of the ATS JE Made clip point, which is available in a variety of colours and a drop point on Heine Haynes for $69.95, although I got mine as a loaner knife for review from Paddy of Paddy's Potato Peelers YouTube channel. There's no way you don't know about him yet though. So thank you very much, Paddy. So this is a Chinese knife, sort of like a budget Chinese knife, in the sense that it's designed by GE of JE Made, and then ATS has made it on his behalf, whereas GE does offer his own line that are higher quality but also much more expensive. So I don't know about the warranty on this. Again though, Heine Haynes will always have you covered, so as long as you're buying through there, you don't have to worry too much about that. So the action on this, it's an extremely strong pull. If I was rating this on a scale out of 10, I would probably put this at a 9.5. If you've got wet fingers, no chance. I slipped straight off of that with wet fingers, and it's so strong I don't like to get a nail in there because it almost hurts kind of thing. So, however, as long as your fingers are dry, it's no issue. And that results in, of course, a very strong, dependable spring, not string. That inspires like huge amounts of confidence. I've not had any moments with this knife where I felt threatened by the blade shutting on me, I guess. It's phosphor bronze washers. You've got all Torx hardware. It's just a T8 and two T6s, just like the actual GE. Oh, JE, I suppose GE is the designer. And this is G10 scales, which is corrugated for extra grip. There is no liners in this, and there is a... in there you can see the stop pin to stop the blade wrap, which is lovely. It does have a lanyard hole, which I feel is very important for these like traditional style knives, because I don't really get lanyard holes until I started carrying traditionals, because you do want, when it's in there, to just be able to pull it out nice and quickly and not have to fiddle around for it in a pouch. Grip on this is actually phenomenal. I wouldn't say it's super comfortable. It fits in the hand nicely enough. And it's not uncomfortable, it's just not the corrugated stuff, you know, like a smooth one, that's always going to be more comfortable just because it's smooth. However, you're going to get a stronger grip on this because it's corrugated. So the grip on it's fine, but it's exceptionally strong. You know, it's definitely not going anywhere. You've got hold of this knife. Even when you've got wet hands, if you can open it with wet hands, this is not going anywhere, which is absolutely lovely. No jimping on it whatsoever, and the fit and finish on this is actually pretty damn good. So it's not on this level, but that's because it's a different style. So this is all machined onto each other and then like finished with like, you know, crazy high levels where you can't really tell the difference between that with your fingers. This, they haven't tried to do that. They've just gone, okay, so let's design it like this, where we make these parts separately and put them together. And because of that, it's come out well. There's nothing on this knife that isn't as it should be. There's nothing on here that jumps out at me as being poorly finished. It's just simpler materials. And that's resulted in, you know, the fit and finish is just absolutely, you know, on point on this. It's, like I said, I wouldn't say I'm super impressed by it, but I'm impressed by it for a budget knife. Like, there's at least something, like even on these bloody Benchmades that are 100 and something pounds, there's like little just nicks out of the micarta and stuff. Like there, look at that. Like, that's not flush. That's got a nick out of it. Like, who designs jimping like that? Why is it under the liners and not above the lights? Things like that. And like, look, you can see like this part of the spring's above, whereas this part's below the liners. This one, nope, can't tell any of that. That looks fine to me. And while it may be the case that some of this is above and some of this is below, because you've got these channels either side, it's really hard to tell. So they've gone for a a very nice sort of, okay, we're not trying to reach that kind of ridiculous level. We're just going for what we know we can achieve, and we're going to do that well. And that's resulted in a fantastic experience. There's nothing on here that picks me out as annoying or anything like that, which, like I said, with the Benchmade, if you're particular about stuff like that, is going to get your goat. But that said, I'm not really. When the blade centering is off too much, that gets me. But it has to be pretty bad. So, this is D2 tool steel, which is, I'm fine with that. I've got no problem with D2. And you've got that stamped on the blade just down there with your stonewash finish, which is lovely. ATS brand name there, and the ATS logo there. And I think that's just about right. I don't know why you'd have ATS twice, but they haven't done the other Chinese common thing where they've gone, hey, who wants the serial number on the knife? No, nobody wants the serial number on the knife, guys. Stop doing that. So, yeah. This is obviously the clip point with a nice little flat grind there, which is lovely. And you do have yourself your little sharpening choil. This is definitely not for finger protection. Like I said, if you have this closed on you there, that's not going to help. The strength of spring will push that point into your finger. And it actually has once, so that's because I was closing it like an idiot. That's my fault, but it did just nick me a little bit. Not to mention, Paddy's sharpening is usually pretty damn good. Although I don't know if he sharpened this one. Centering on this, let's have a look. Yeah, it appears to be pretty damn good to me. Yeah, that looks. I can't see that that's not. Looks fine to me. And if we have a look at blade play, yeah, there's nothing. There is no blade play on this, and it's still got that ultra smooth action with the nice walk and torque that the JE Made has, so it hasn't even lost any of that. So here's some stats on screen for you right here. Boom, whilst we do a couple of size comparisons. So for us here in the UK, there's a Victorinox of about standard size. That's just a tourist. There's a UK PK. Oh, why not? There's the original JE Made. Oh, look, it's about the same size. And since I've got it here as a talking point anyway, this is a ridiculous number, but there's your Benchmade. It's, bigger than that. And if you're an American folk, or, from a country that isn't scared, we'll do a couple of, like, there's the Paramilitary 2, there's the Rep number 1, there's the 940, and you can see it sort of stacks up with these. It's not, certainly not diminished by the, doesn't look diminutive compared to these by any standards. Looks right in line. It's not dwarfed at all. Whereas, the Victorinox would absolutely be made to look tiny in comparison. So, with this, now I'd have been super happy to just go straight out and be like, yeah, no, this is fantastic for the money. Absolutely fantastic. The market has just very recently thrown two knives at me that sort of, I mean, if this would have been this thing's competition before. Okay, so it would have been slightly lesser materials, but nonetheless a solid working knife that doesn't have a normal old style nail nick. It's like that new style, the cool modern, and it's a very, very capable knife. You're not getting any. This isn't the cheap Chinese tat that people associate China knives with sometimes. This is a quality product. Absolutely is a quality product. And you'd just be like, maybe I really want Makata, maybe I really want S30V. Unfortunately, I have just had one of these, which is very similar to this in a lot of ways. It has a similarly strong spring. This has a much better nail nick. I don't really like that one. But this has titanium versus just this G10. This has S35VN versus just the D2. This is only £20 more. That's not a huge difference. And then if your budget is basically set at £70, as long as you get the exchange rate right, and you're not bored of M390 already, you can get the Tucson TS90 for, that was £70 to me, shipped to my door. Yowzers. Titanium M390 for the same price. So, now these two are currently the exception rather than the rule. So, I would definitely say, if these grey slabs aren't your thing, don't let that put you off. Other than that, I'd say this would be right around in the competition for it. And this has just shot up in price. This was on a sale for £65, which I would have said get the Kaiser every day of the week over this. But this is now £95 and this is £70. No! So I would say maybe, yeah. I mean, this is different use cases again for me. This would be a secondary, this would be a primary because of the clip. But if you're only getting one, I would maybe get the ATS, as long as you're not planning to use it in many places that are super, super delicate on knife floors, or, worried police officers, or sheeple, as people call them. I'd go for this one. I would absolutely fully recommend this. If you're not looking for something like this, if you're super comfortable, you don't need to worry too much about it. Your constabulary knows that it's the cutting edge and not the whole blade length, which some don't. But that is what it is. Then I'd say go for this, because this is an absolutely solid working knife. Using this, I didn't feel like this was less than I needed at any point. Now that's not saying a lot. I just cut cardboard boxes and crap like that. I'm not Mr. Hard Use. I'm not out there in the wilderness bushcrafting with this thing. But I suspect a lot of you aren't either. So that said, going through a double wall thick corrugated cardboard box is about as hard as I'm getting, and this felt fine for that. This went sliced through it like absolute butter. So yeah, if you're looking for a decent working tradition, modern traditional, that isn't going to break the bank, but you can depend on it, I say go for this. Again, if you don't like it, you can always send it back to Heine. They're good like that. I don't really know about the warranty on this, but again, Heine will sort of have you back if it's not up to your standards, I guess. As for comparing it to this boy, look, if you're considering either or, if you're torn between the choices, you're already buying this. If you're thinking about buying one of these, then you're basically going to buy one of these. We all know how it works. If you're chasing that ultra fit and finish high, that super lovely materials finish, all that, then you're going to go with this. If you're just looking for a knife that works, and it works damn well, and you're not going to pay 3 times the amount and have £20 change, then don't worry about that one. Just focus on this one. And thank you for watching. I'm trying to make these all a little bit shorter, because I know a lot of people don't want to listen to me drone on for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So I'm going to try and keep them all to 15-10 if I can. So hopefully you'll like that change. Thank you very much for watching. Good day to you all.